The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. But what if the path to becoming who you are is not filled with privilege, but with struggle? What if your very nature, being an intuitive introvert, carries not only gifts but a hidden curse? Jung warned that the deeper a person turns inward, the greater the danger of being overwhelmed by the shadows they discover. This isn't just philosophy. It's the lived reality of countless intuitive introverts today who wrestle with overthinking, isolation, and the crushing weight of carrying insights others don't understand. Backhand index pointing right before we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Psyche Glimpse, your space for deep explorations of psychology, philosophy, and the human condition. Who are intuitive introverts? Carl Jung divided personalities into types, and among them the intuitive introvert was the rarest and most misunderstood. Unlike extroverts who draw energy from the outer world, intuitive introverts are tuned into inner landscapes, symbols, visions, meanings, and possibilities that others rarely notice. To Jung, this type was like an explorer of the unconscious. They see patterns in chaos, anticipate future outcomes, and sense truths hidden beneath the surface. And yet, because their attention is so inward, they often feel out of sync with society. They may appear withdrawn, eccentric, or even aloof. The blessing is that intuitive introverts can perceive life's deeper currents. The curse? Their visions can isolate them, creating a gap between themselves and the world that leaves them vulnerable to alienation and despair. The gift and the curse. Jung believed that every strength casts a shadow. For intuitive introverts, the gift of perceiving hidden truths can easily become a burden. They may see too much, possibilities that never come to pass, dangers that paralyze, or meanings that overwhelm. It is a paradox. The same mind that can dream up profound art, philosophy, or innovation can also sink into endless analysis, crippling self-doubt and existential dread. This is Jung's dark warning, the danger of becoming trapped in the labyrinth of one's own mind. Many intuitive introverts report feeling misunderstood, even by those closest to them. Others may dismiss their insights as impractical or strange. Over time, this fuels the sense of being an outsider, a wanderer between worlds. The weight of overthinking. One of the greatest struggles intuitive introverts face is overthinking. Because they are wired to search for meaning, they analyze everything. Every word, every interaction, every possibility. What to others seems like a small mistake can spiral into a storm of self-doubt. Jung observed that this type often struggles with being swallowed by the unconscious. Dreams, archetypes, and anxieties can dominate their waking life. The mind becomes both sanctuary and prison. This constant reflection, while a source of wisdom, can also paralyze action. Think of it like standing at a crossroads with 1,000 paths. The intuitive introvert sees them all, and becomes frozen, unable to choose. Alienation and loneliness. Jung warned that intuitive introverts often live at the edge of society, seeing truths others ignore. This sense of alienation can lead to loneliness, even despair. They may withdraw further, seeking comfort in their inner world, but at the cost of connection. Modern psychology backs this. Introverts are more prone to anxiety and depression when isolated. The very sensitivity that makes them insightful also leaves them vulnerable to the pain of disconnection. Yet, in this loneliness also lies the potential for transformation. Jung believed that only by confronting this solitude can an introvert discover their authentic self. The shadow within. Carl Jung believed every person carries a shadow, the unacknowledged, hidden aspects of ourselves we try to avoid. For intuitive introverts, this shadow can be especially powerful because their inward focus makes them more likely to encounter it. Instead of facing the world outside, they face an inner world filled with archetypes, fears, and desires. The danger, Jung warned, is that if the shadow is ignored, it doesn't disappear. It grows stronger, influencing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors unconsciously. The intuitive introvert risks becoming consumed by their own shadow, overwhelmed by fears of inadequacy, bitterness at being misunderstood, or an inflated sense of superiority. The very act of turning inward can open the door to both insight and inner demons. The double-edged sword of imagination. Jung saw imagination as one of humanity's greatest gifts. Intuitive introverts, with their rich inner worlds, often experience vivid dreams, powerful visions, and deep symbolic thinking. This can lead to incredible creativity, art, philosophy, and breakthroughs in thought. But there's a danger. Imagination can also blur reality. An intuitive introvert may over-romanticize, catastrophize, or live more in their visions than in the present moment. The line between insight and illusion becomes thin. This is why Jung emphasized the need for grounding. Without balance, imagination can become a trap, keeping the intuitive introvert stuck in visions of what could be while life passes them by. The existential danger of isolation. Jung warned that when intuitive introverts withdraw too far, they risk losing touch with reality. This isolation, while comfortable at first, can lead to disconnection from society, work, and even loved ones. Philosophers across history, from Kierkegaard to Nietzsche, echoed this danger. Solitude can be the birthplace of wisdom, but too much solitude can breed despair. When the inner voice is the only voice, perspective narrows, and the individual risks being consumed by their own world. In today's world, this warning is more relevant than ever. Digital life makes it easy to retreat into screens, books, or fantasies. For intuitive introverts, this temptation is strong, but it comes at the cost of true connection. Jung's call for balance. Despite his warnings, Jung did not condemn intuitive introverts. Instead, he saw their journey as one of great potential. The key was balance, learning to bring insights from the inner world into the outer world. Jung encouraged what he called individuation, the process of integrating all aspects of the self, including the shadow, and expressing them in life. For intuitive introverts, this means finding ways to share their visions, connect with others, and remain rooted in reality. The curse becomes a blessing when their insights illuminate not just their own life, but the lives of others. To do so requires courage. The courage to step out of isolation, to test inner visions in the real world, and to allow the world to shape them in return. Solitude as a forge, not a prison. Solitude is often misunderstood. For intuitive introverts, it is not a weakness, but a forge. In the stillness of being alone, ideas sharpen, insights deepen, and self-awareness grows. Jung himself spent years reflecting in solitude, discovering the patterns of archetypes and the collective unconscious. But solitude becomes destructive when it shifts from being chosen to being imposed. The difference lies in intention. When solitude is used to grow, it strengthens the mind. When it is used to escape, it weakens it. The challenge for intuitive introverts is to transform solitude from prison walls into a sacred space for growth. Failure and struggle as teachers. Many intuitive introverts fear failure because it exposes them to the outside world's judgment. But Jung emphasized that failure is not the end, it is the teacher. Through mistakes, the psyche develops resilience, humility, and adaptability. When intuitive introverts face struggle head-on instead of retreating, they transform fear into strength. Failure becomes feedback, not a verdict. Struggle becomes the crucible in which identity is refined. Without failure there is no depth, only fantasy. Creativity as a bridge between worlds. For Jung, creativity was the key to transforming the introvert's curse into a gift. Intuitive introverts, with their deep inner worlds, often produce art, literature, or ideas that change culture. Creativity becomes the bridge between the private inner world and the shared collective world. Without expression, the insights remain locked inside. But when shared, they resonate with others, turning isolation into connection. The act of writing, painting, speaking, or building is not just personal therapy, it is contribution. Creativity redeems solitude. Stories of intuitive introverts who transformed. History is filled with intuitive introverts who carried both the curse and the gift. Carl Jung himself retreated into deep reflection and emerged with theories that reshaped psychology. Emily Dickinson lived in solitude, yet her poetry revealed profound truths about the human spirit. Nikola Tesla spent much of his life in isolation, yet gifted the world innovations that still power modern life. Their lives show that the dark warning is real. Withdrawal and shadow can consume the introvert. But they also show the other side. When balanced with courage and creative expression, the same traits lead to timeless contributions. The hidden gift inside Jung's warning. Jung's warning to intuitive introverts was not meant to discourage but to awaken. He knew that the very traits that isolate them, their depth, sensitivity, and imagination, are the same traits that can transform humanity. The shadow only takes over when these gifts are hoarded in silence. When shared with the world, the burden becomes a blessing. The intuitive introvert's role is not to reject their nature, but to master it, to walk the line between depth and despair, between inner vision and outer contribution. Practical steps to thrive as an intuitive introvert. So how does one avoid the curse Jung described? By living intentionally. First, embrace solitude as a tool, not a trap. Set aside time for reflection but balance it with moments of connection. Second, create consistently. Channel inner chaos into art, writing, innovation, or ideas. Third, confront the shadow, acknowledge the darker impulses but refuse to let them rule. And finally, cultivate courage by stepping outside comfort zones, even in small ways. These practices allow intuitive introverts not just to survive but to thrive. They turn warning into wisdom and isolation into purpose. Balance leads to individuation. For Jung, the ultimate goal of life was individuation, the integration of all parts of the psyche into wholeness. Intuitive introverts are uniquely positioned for this journey because they already live close to the unconscious. But balance is the key. Too much retreat into the inner world breeds distortion. Too much outward living leads to disconnection. The dark warning becomes the guiding light. You must walk between both worlds, weaving the insights of solitude into the fabric of community. Individuation is not isolation, it is integration. Closing reflection. Carl Jung's dark warning about intuitive introverts still speaks today. The same inner depths that can consume us also carry the potential to illuminate the world. The choice is not whether to have fear, shadow, or solitude. They will always exist. The choice is whether we allow them to imprison us or empower us. So if you are an intuitive introvert, remember, your depth is not a curse but a responsibility. Stop running from it, stop hiding in it, and instead rise with it. Because when you master your inner world, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of everyone touched by your light. Your inner world is powerful, but it's not meant to trap you. It's meant to transform you.